classic movies, monster movies, action, and Marvel? Hey everybody, and welcome to Show's Over, and today we are talking about Werewolf by Night. This is a Marvel MCU movie, believe it or not, and it is the first Halloween or even, just holiday special for the MCU. Specifically, a Halloween special. Werewolf by Night is a love song to all classic monster movies, like the Universal monster movies, like the old Mummy and the original Werewolf movies, Frankenstein. It's amazing. Specifically, what tips you off, obviously, is the black and white, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. In total, the movie is beautifully made and beautifully shot, only 53 minutes in length. However, it really packs in a lot of content, and also it feels very well paced, but also not overstretching anything, which I think is definitely due to its 53-minute runtime. But it is a beautifully made movie, and it's actually directed by Michael Giacchino, typically a composer who's actually made some of my favorite compositions for movies such as The Incredibles and the original Jurassic World. He actually did all 3 Jurassic World films, and also he even did old video game scores way back in the day for like Medal of Honor. This guy has been with me for a long time, such as music composition, but this is his first time in the director's chair, and he nails it. Now, Werewolf by Night is not a masterpiece of cinema by a long shot, but it is definitely fresh, especially when you consider the fact that it's an MCU film. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, the MCU has been getting a little bit tired lately, and this movie just breathes a whole breath of fresh air into the entire superhero genre, because it doesn't feel like a superhero movie. Like I said before, it feels like an old monster movie, and it's beautiful in that regard. Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts of really what makes it a classic feel movie, we're gonna get into the cast, because the cast is just amazing. Starring in the lead role, Gael Garcia Bernal is brilliant, and he gives such a great delivery, but especially within this context of having a movie that is calling back to classic cinema, he has to really show off his facial expressions. He has to really enunciate and really put his words forward. But in all of this, he still provides a realistic feel in his performance. Co-starring in this, we also have Laura Donnelly, who is a very important character, no spoilers here, but she does a brilliant job in her role by playing more of the serious role in this one, but then also having that history that provides such a wonderful opportunity for her to be able to act some complexity to her character, which she does brilliantly. And then if this movie is going to turn into more than just a one-off, I hope that she is going to be coming back, because she did a phenomenal job. And there are multiple characters in this film, not like tons of extras. Actually, it's a really main character-centric film. The 2 people that I just mentioned, their characters, while also having another cast of characters that all really work together very, very well. The hunters and the whole premise of the film is all beautifully put together. But as for the plot, this movie excels with being able to tell a very simple story, but effectively in making you care. With only 53 minutes to work with, you have to have a short story. So this one works well with being able to tell an episode almost like an episode of a full-length movie or a full-length TV show. I don't really know how to throw it out here, but it's really something special because they tell a very concise story that definitely shows that there's much more to this universe that they could explore later on in the MCU. But the thing that makes this movie stand out from all of the rest of the MCU is the fact that it is so carefully crafted to make sure that it is paying homage to all of the old classic films that were black and white, that were all real, REEL films way back in the 1930s and 40s and 50s. These movies that were the old monster movies that just were evocative of such, feelings of nostalgia. Michael Giacchino definitely wanted to make you feel nostalgia from not only having black and white, where you could tell that all of the sets and all of the colors that they used in the actual set dressing in real life were made in order to be able to accentuate the black and white on screen. And with the cinematography, he actually even put like cigarette burns and like the film grain on the actual movie in different parts, and he makes it so obvious because he wants you to feel those feelings of a classic film, and it definitely comes across. But not only in the way that the movie is shot, but in the way that the movie is acted. The actors, whether it is Gael Garcia Bernal or whether it's Laura Donnelly or any of the rest of the cast, specifically actually the antagonist, which you're gonna have to find out who that is for yourself. The main antagonist, she actually is just amazing with overacting. Now, in any other case, if you're doing a regular color film and this was a regular MCU film, the overacting would be so obnoxious. It would be something that would be getting in the way of the story, and even if you had a beautifully shot and a beautiful story in this movie, if it was in color, the overacting would take you out of it. But because it is a callback to the classic films and it's being shot in black and white, you need to be able to overact. You need to have your facial expressions huge. And then there's even moments where Michael Giacchino just has a close-up that just pans in just a little bit in order to keep on getting a person's face as they're reacting to whatever is happening in that scene. It's classic, it's nostalgic, and it makes you feel everything of just like, ooh, the good warm and fuzzies when it comes to watching this film in terms of remembering back to the old classic films of the 30s and 40s. Werewolf by Night is an incredible opportunity for the MCU to be able to start branching out into more creative ways. And not only the MCU, but all of Hollywood. I don't know if you've been feeling this, but I just feel like cinema has been very stale for the most part. Before the pandemic, we had a lot of opportunities to be able to see a great plethora of different creative opportunities from directors throughout the year. Yes, you have your regular bombs or your like kind of meh movies, but because of the pandemic, we have such a limited release schedule in a year now, even in 2022 when more movies have been coming out. And it just seems like there's a lot of movies that are just kind of playing it by the numbers, playing it safe. This movie is not that at all. Yes, you might be able to say that Michael Giacchino is just trying to rest upon people's nostalgia, and I'm just feeling all up on a hype because it's spooky season and it's a spooky movie that's evocative of old-timey monster films. But no, it is way more than that. This is a creative outlet that I believe that if Hollywood wanted to continue to deep dive into with this black and white feel, with the classic understanding of cinema, with the overacting from the actors, being able to kind of put on like a stage play in front of the camera in that black and white. When you make a movie with the intention of actually putting it in black and white and then also using the medium and using the entire idea of how it's shot to make it feel like a classic movie, that can provide some really good opportunities for movies to get into a new niche of retro, it gives the opportunity for movies to be able to explore a brand new niche in Hollywood, like a neo-retro, where you can shoot a movie in black and white, or maybe even it's in muted colors, like, 60s style, but you make it in the style of actually framing your shots just as they were back in the day, and you be able to put your actors from now in those styles, and it obviously would feel dated, but you work within those confines, you're going to be able to explore something and make something new, Hollywood. Do this. Follow in these footsteps. Michael Giacchino, keep on making movies in this vein, and you are going to find some great success, my friend. More power to you. I love you, Michael Giacchino. This is getting a little weird. But if I had to give a final rating for Werewolf by Night, I would definitely give Werewolf by Night an 8 out of 10. Yeah, it's not perfect because, it's only 53 minutes. It's not a full-length film, and I am holding that back because I want to explore this area of the MCU a lot more. They definitely sewed in some Easter eggs to make you feel like, yes, they can go somewhere with this, and I want them to. But also there was parts of this movie where I felt like maybe Michael could have gone a little bit further with it. And honestly, funny enough, I actually think that the score was probably the weakest part of the film, which is ironic because Michael Giacchino is a known composer. However, I also kind of feel like there wasn't anything that really made me feel like, I'm going to be humming this for a lot longer. Now, I know that that's not the makings of a good composition, of a good score. However, there's moments in this movie where you feel like that is really cool and evocative of like the old-timey movies, like right from the opening, the intro cue card. Also, the moment that was probably the most moving for me when it comes to score and what's happening on screen is when there's like this giant tuba with fire on it, and then like it's hitting the notes in tune and in time with the actual score in order to be able to build up the tension of going into, well, the thing, because I can't spoil it for you. That's really good, and it's emotional, but I can't really remember a lot of the other tones from the movie. I only saw it once so far. I'm definitely gonna watch this again, but there's nothing in my mind besides that tuba scene and the intro that really stick out to me, which is surprising to me because Michael Giacchino is such an accomplished composer. But that's Werewolf by Night. It is a phenomenal movie, and at only 53 minutes, you gotta watch it. Just put aside an hour and watch this, especially right now during spooky season. But what did you think about it? Have you seen the movie? Do you want to see it? Put it down in the comments below what you thought of Werewolf by Night, and I will see you in the next review.